Hey guys, did you know that about 16% of the adult workforce in our country are entrepreneurs? Yet, about 40% of traditionally employed Americans say that they consider becoming an entrepreneur. So, like, what I'm hearing is that 40% of the workforce wants to be an entrepreneur, but only 16% are. Why is that? Shall we unjuggle? I think we shall. I'm having conversations these days with folks who desire to start their own business. And when they share this confession, they often also share that starting their own business and being their own boss and creating something of their own has long been a desire for them, but they never actually took action on it. You know what I mean? Like, think about, have you ever thought that you had $1 million idea and you'll even go around telling your friends about it, and maybe even it frustrates you to no end every time you see somebody struggling with that something that you've got an idea that could help, but you just aren't quite sure how to actually turn that idea into a real business. And so then what happens is your time just gets put towards other things. Or how about, do you hear how many people these days, they all have some type of side hustle, right? And you think to yourself, maybe you would want to start a side hustle too, but then you don't know what you actually would want to do, like what you would put some time to, or which one would be the most lucrative, right, for your time. So then again, the idea kind of just fizzles out and you go on with your regularly scheduled program. I think that happens for a lot of folks. Now, disclaimer here. I'm not saying that running a business doesn't take some serious effort, hours, and all the things. Believe me, I am in the thick of all of the things right now. But I will also tell you that it has been every bit of what I dreamed it would be and more. So I was just sitting in my pondering, and I wanted to work through why, just in my personal experience, based on the conversations that I've had. And, I think back to my own story, why I didn't start the business sooner, or why I'm hearing that others haven't or didn't either. And of course, the intent here is that if you're on the fence about starting your own business, or you've thought of that great idea, but you're not sure what to do with it next, I just want to bring these barriers forth so that you can recognize them. And then, heck, if it's what's meant to be, push those suckers aside and make the decision that this year, this is the year that you are going to start the business you've been thinking about, because you never know if you don't try, and you're recognizing the signs and you're pushing them out of your way. All right. Number one reason that I didn't start my own business sooner was that I was extremely comfortable in my cushy corporate job. I knew how corporate worked and I thrived within the system. Here's the goal: equip the team to produce, over deliver, win, gain more influence, pay, and title. Hashtag mission accomplished. Why would I ever consider going out on my own? That is until I just started dreaming up and I started having this pull, and I wanted to start exploring different wealth engines that I could create for my family. And I think most time, the buzzword here is multiple streams of income, if you would. And then I had a calling placed on my heart that I simply just could no longer ignore. And I knew that if I was going to have that fulfillment and that purpose alignment that I desired in my life, I knew I was not going to be able to do that by staying in the corporate box. And instead, that I would need to make an all in bet on myself decision to launch my own business. So that's the quick version of my story. But even then, I'll tell you that I stayed in my corporate job for almost a year and a half after I started having that desire to maybe start my own business. And what I felt in that year and a half, it seems to be really common to why I'm hearing others haven't taken the leap either. And I would say the themes that I've pulled out is that it really comes down to three themes. Number one, we're convinced that we're lacking resources. Number two, fear of failure. And number three, watch out here, fear of success. Number one, we are convinced that we're lacking resources. And this quite literally spans from everything from like, I'm not smart enough. I don't have a degree. I don't have financial funding to start a business, or I don't have the financial IQ to run a business, to I don't know how to hire people who can actually run the business for me, or I don't have support, or I wouldn't even know where to start with all of the technology. Resources. What mind boggles me about this one is that, like, we will let this be a barrier of entry into entrepreneurship, but yet so many of us as natural high achievers or people pleasers, like we walk around with this kind of this attitude of like, hey, just tell me what you want. Tell me what the benchmark is, and I'll learn it and I'll deliver it against that benchmark and I will make it happen. And then we do. So why wouldn't we have that same kind of attitude for ourselves? Like if we're confident that we can learn things, that we can deliver against benchmarks, and even if we don't know how, that we can figure it out, why wouldn't we apply that same confidence to building our own passion-driven, purpose-driven business? Hmm? Now, for the length of like for the sake of the length of this episode, I'm not going to dive into each of the specific resources, but I will like just say one thing on kind of again some of the themes that I'm noticing. So finances, people, technology, support, knowledge, those resource gaps. So kind of condense what I would just eh, mention, and future episodes are always a possibility too, so just leave a review or reach out to me if you want to hear more. But I would say like what we convince ourselves about financial resources, or what I would say actually kind of on the opposite of that, like to be helpful here. Ooh, look at me babble. Okay, so financial resources, there are loans, there are different types of collateral, there are multiple communities of investors, or there are ways to do things cheaper when you first start out. Creative financial solutions exist. You just have to know where to find them. People resources. Good, hard working folks, they can be tough to find. That's not a secret. But if you first lean into the networks that you already have, and then lean into the networks of professionals out there who are doing this or who have done what you want to do in this, like the space your business wants to start, you can and you will find that the vast number of folks out there that there are just a number of folks out there that will help you propel your business forward because they have the right talents or strengths, maybe where you think you've got weaknesses. So they're out there. Technology resources. Okay. What a beautiful world we live in to have so many options when it comes to the tech stack for our businesses. And although, yes, it can be overwhelming, there is a tool out there for everything. And there are entrepreneurs like myself out there who are happy to share like what our behind the scenes look like to help other entrepreneurs get started. Support resources. This one comes up all the time too. Yes, community and your support system, it makes a difference in the way that you're able to pursue your big dreams. So if you don't have a support system that you like, if you don't have the support system that you want in place, start making changes to that today by getting into new communities and finding mentors or circles of people who do take that genuine interest and can support you. It's going to, if you need something different, you're going to have to do something different. And then the last one, knowledge resource. Okay. Again, we live in a world where anything you want to learn is literally at your fingertips, and mentors are more easily accessible now more than ever. So you don't have to know everything about starting a business or running your business or everything about like the niche that you think you may want to dip your toe into. What you do need to know is your own authentic passion behind it, and that you can actually deliver, that you can actually teach others so that they can have the thing or the transformation that they desire, aka like you're actually serving and delivering for your clients. If you can do those things, then like, yes, you can do this. So while lack of resources, it's often the number one thing like our brains are going to try to convince us of. After we really peel back the curtain on that one, what I think is at the heart of the reason that we don't take even more risks, like we don't bet on ourselves nearly as often as we should, is it's this idea of it's the fear of failure. It's fear. Fear is what's holding that 84% back from ever starting their own business. And it's first fear of failure. And then, and like I said, this one shocks people, but then it's fear of success. How crazy, right? So, fear of failure. This is a topic, it's near and dear to my heart, and it's a common thing that I bring up. We're so afraid to put it all out on the line and to fail. And let's be honest, yeah, when we look at it that way, that sounds awful and embarrassing and guilt ridden and shameful and just crappy, right? But most of the time, that fear that we let have such a suffocating hold on our lives, that fear is often rooted in lies we believe and lies we tell ourselves, like that we're not good enough. Lies that limit our potential and live in our heads, but we grant them access to be truth in our realities. But they're not. You are good enough. You are capable of anything. Like, look at the journey of your life thus far. And I guarantee you that you have been through some crap and that you've seen moments in your life where you rose to the occasion or you did something you didn't even know was inside you. You have massive untapped potential pulsating through your veins that you keep caged behind a wall of limiting beliefs. And that comes out as the feeling of fear. And while yes, it's totally normal and we're all human and we all have fear, it's your acknowledgement of that feeling, your perception of what that word and what that feeling actually means to you that can change anything in your life. Like if you view, okay, so failure. So if you view failure as growth instead of a setback, you're winning. If you view failure as an indicator of stepping into a bigger potential, you're winning. If you view failure as the most important source of firsthand knowledge, you're winning. Like we cannot be fearful of failure because I think some maybe weird twisted way like we should actually be delighted in our so-called failures. Like delight and fear, they're two quite opposite feelings and emotions. Could you imagine though? Again, let's just try to reprogram our brains here. Could you imagine feeling delighted because you bet on yourself? Hmm. Could you imagine feeling delighted because you tapped into potential that you maybe did or maybe didn't even know was there all along? Could you imagine feeling delighted because your big idea actually worked? Heck yes. Ooh, I just got goosebumps on that one. So let's be willing to just look at failure differently. And then at least we don't have to fear it, but we can, in that kind of weird way, like we can delight in it. And As we fail willingly and graciously along our entrepreneurial journey, like what's also going to happen is that we will experience success. And that while sure, we all say we want massive success, fear of success will have people hanging up their hat before they even took it off the rack. So many of us carry this mindset around success that is like limiting to the potential and the real success that we could experience. We we start getting up in our own heads that we start wondering like what our close family members would actually think if we quote unquote made it. We don't believe, maybe wholeheartedly, that people would treat us the same. Like we think everyone would just maybe want to be around us because of resources like our money. We start to question like if friendships are real or if folks just want something from us or something from the business we built. Like we have dreams that of just throwing away this money on like a vacation or that sports car, but we darn well know we wouldn't actually know what to do with buttloads of money, and that intimidates the heck out of us. And I don't know if this is like I don't know if I'm communicating this concept the way that I'd really want to give the right attention to. So I do want to come back to this on another episode. So keep an eye out. I've made a note. I'll come back, but just know that like once upon a time too, I was fearful of success. I had experienced success in my corporate career and I already didn't know how to do things like humbly share about those accomplishments. So I kept them to myself. Or like once upon a time, how to manage like the healthy paychecks. And if I'm being like stone cold honest with myself and with you right now, like due to this fragmented mindset around what success actually was, I got lost and I felt guilty for the successes I had experienced. And so it has taken me years to work through that. And there are still pieces of that fear of success journey I'm on. And it's a real thing. And it's as real as being fear of failure. It's a reality in the brain, but that doesn't actually mean it has to be the reality that we live in. So like I said, we'll circle back to that one. But just to kind of bring this unjuggle summary home for us today, is that the more I talk with folks and the more that I reflect back on my own journey, there are a large number of people out there who want to start their own business, but they never will. And it's because number one, they convince themselves that they don't have the right resources. Time, money, people, support, knowledge, or technology are the big ones. They will then let number two, fear of failure, stop them in their tracks. And number three, that sneaky fear of success will stop it all before it has even had a chance to thrive. As I mentioned at the beginning, though, it's like if the purpose of me sharing these is like if any of this is coming up for you too right now as the reason that maybe you haven't started your business yet, like come on. It's time to get to work on removing these barriers for yourself because you do have the potential and that purpose driven business is waiting for you. It's inside you. So it's time to start getting curious and looking for those resources that you believe you lack because the solutions are all around you and they could literally be a finger click or a phone call away. It's time to take up a new perspective on failure. It's not something to fear, right? It's something to be delighted in as an indicator that you are putting in the reps and that you're growing and tapping into that potential. And if that sneaky little fear of success starts to creep up, then the best thing that you can do is to start intentionally just spending time working through what success could really look like and how it could really, in all of the right ways, amplify your life. And in the areas where like you think that you that success may cause more harm than good, you start to debunk those limiting beliefs and put in the work now just to prepare and really like design the life that you want for yourself on your terms starting today. So I can't wait to circle back on some of this stuff more in depth. Like, thanks for always just riding in the journey with me. I also can't wait to see and hear about you finally to start like deciding to start that business and just know that I'm absolutely one of those mentors who can help. I can be one of those mentors who's available at your fingertips, in your ears each week to help you take your idea all the way to paying clients so you can do this. Until next time, bye. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. It means the world to me that you're here to ride in the struggle bus with me and that you're willing to consider different perspectives, tools, and techniques that just might provide a little bit of relief and get you one step closer to the abundance that is available and waiting for us all. I hope you take a moment to grant yourself some grace where you've been denying it, some love where you didn't realize maybe it was right in front of you, and some faith where you thought all was lost. If this episode had an impact on you, would you please share a comment with a review? I'd love to hear what landed for you, and it helps us get the word out to our fellow struggle bus riders. So please review what was impactful for you. Just know these episodes are a pure labor of love in a space where I'm growing alongside you. I'm evolving every day, and I look forward to all the ways and the things and the perspectives and opinions and choices that will change over the course of time in my own life, day to day. Until next time, just know that you are loved, you are divinely cared for, and in the struggle, the journey of this life really is beautiful. I'm glad that we're in it together. Cheers.